morning everyone, I'm Shoyang and this will be your morning news update. Today, I'll bring you the latest update on the moral dilemma that Chinese youth has been facing. The 996 working culture has been a norm in China's workforce. However, the cost of this pursuit of success become increasingly apparent. A new generation is pushing back. First, let's see a video of a 996 worker and a tang worker.
我是杨丽。No.
2,000 years later.
Let me get off. Dude, it's 9 o'clock at work. Why are you working so hard? Hello? Seriously? I love thumping.
The tang movement, a response to 996 culture, is gaining attention among Chinese youth. It's a call for a more balanced lifestyle, prioritizing mental health and personal fulfillment over material success. As China grapples with these generational shifts, the question remains, can the country find a balance between economic growth and personal well-being? While 996 may contribute to economic growth, it often comes at the cost of mental health and physical health. Tang, on the other hand, can be seen as a form of passive resistance, potentially hindering societal progress. Tech master Jack Ma once praised the 996 working culture as a blessing, but for millions of Chinese workers, it's a curse. 6 days a week schedule has becoming a norm in many firms in China, leading to burnout, stress, and even tragedy. On the other hand, Tang advocates for a more balanced approach towards work-life balance, emphasizing the avoidance of excessive work while performing the bare minimum tasks. Tang is a concern to the growth of China's economy, as it may lead to a less productive workforce. Also, Tang has broader societal implications, as it influences young adults' attitudes towards traditional values like home ownership, marriage, and economic advancements pursued by prior generations. Now, we will move on to look at the moral reasoning from the perspectives of the parties involved. Employers view 996 as necessary to maintain competitiveness in a rapid changing market, with leaders like Jack Ma and the CEO of Jingdong, Richard Liu, attribute 996 to the success of China's tech giant. As for employees, this is an unspoken rule to work overtime, even if there is nothing else to be done. This is to show their commitment to the firm, so it will be favored by their employers and eventually contributing to potential career advancements. So, this results in employees accepting the working culture even at the expense of their health. Conversely, many may opt to a tang, whereby they settle for the bare minimum of the responsibility. Younger generation in particular place a higher value on their work-life balance and health and rejects 996 work culture. Next, our expert will share more about the issue with you.
Alright, yeah. So moving on to part 2 of our presentation, we'll be talking more about the ethical issues and application of framework. I'll be discussing the 996 work culture in China and its ethical implications around workers' rights and well-being. While some claim it boosts productivity, others argue it imposes serious costs on employees' health, rights, and dignity. To understand why 996 is so controversial, we'll explore it through 3 ethical frameworks: the social web model of corporate social responsibility, continuism, and egalitarianism. So, starting with workers' rights, the social model of CSR emphasizes that companies have a duty to avoid harming employees. This includes following labor laws and protecting workers' well-being. China's laws limit working hours to 44 hours per week, yet 996 pushes beyond that working hours. In China's tech sector, workers report serious health issues, from vision problems to chronic fatigue, due to long working hours. By ignoring these limits, companies following 996 feel their ethical duty to protect workers, violating the principle of their businesses should act ethically and contribute positively to society. Continuism goes a step further by emphasizing the need to treat individuals as ends in themselves, not merely as tools for profit. Yet, 996 culture often treats employees as resources to be used up for the sake of company gains, disregarding their own personal goals and autonomy. China's Supreme Court has even ruled that this culture violates workers' rights. The pressure to adhere to 996 culture strips workers of their dignity and subjects them to work conditions that don't respect their intrinsic value as individuals. Next, let's consider equal treatment. Central to egalitarianism, this framework promotes fairness and equality. But 996 creates a stark inequality. Employees should shoulder the intense burdens of long working hours, while executives typically benefit most from the added productivity. A BBC report highlights how tech workers in China often work extended hours without fair compensation. Egalitarian principles argue that this unfairness violates basic workplace equity, as employees aren't fairly rewarded for their sacrifices. And lastly, let's talk more about personal autonomy and dignity. So from a Kantian perspective, 996 approach disregards employees' autonomy, treating them as mere tools to achieve corporate goals. Employees lose the ability to make choices about their time and well-being, which are essential to respecting their human dignity. Research highlights how employees suffer not only physically but emotionally under such demands, with high levels of burnout and stress. In a sense, 996 is fundamentally unethical as it disregards individuals' rights to autonomy and personal respect. Dumping, on the other hand, enables workers to reclaim their dignity. By choosing lie flat, workers are rejecting the notion that they are simply tools for productivity. They are asserting their right to control their lives, pushing back against an exploitative system that reminds us that ethical work culture must respect people beyond just their productivity.
Thank you, Darren. We'll first look at the exploitation of workers' health and well-being from a utilitarian perspective. So many companies usually take on an economic model of the CSR, which focuses on driving economic profits. And they'll argue that 996 boosts productivity and drives corporate success. So we have to ask ourselves, should the pursuit of a company's profits really come at the expense of the employees' health and well-being? Well, harsh working cultures like 996 often lead to exhaustion and burnout, which leaves employees feeling undervalued and overworked. A meta-analysis found that long working hours have significant negative impact on employees' health, where they face 6.96 times higher risk of depression and anxiety than those who work fewer hours. Additionally, the long working hours of 996 failed to increase productivity despite the popular beliefs that long working hours equate to greater productivity. So, studies have found that those working longer hours actually struggle to concentrate and have low motivational levels. So this increases the mistakes made, cutting off corners, which results in lower quality of work produced. Also, employees' creativity will be reduced, which is an immeasurable loss to a company. So this is counterproductive, defeating the purpose of 996. Moreover, depression and anxiety cost the global economy $1 trillion every year, primarily due to the reduced productivity. Now let's reconsider the issue using Kantian ethics. As mentioned by Darren, Kantianism emphasizes the importance of respecting the rights of others. Unfortunately, the 996 work culture often violates these principles, as employees are treated as mere tools for profit maximization. It overlooks their fundamental rights to a safe and healthy workplace, since they work long hours without adequate care for their well-being. But many are afraid to reject this work culture out of the fear of losing their jobs. The 996 work culture has been widely criticized for its detrimental effects of burnout and overwork-related illnesses, with increasing number of fatality reports over the years. For instance, employees at the e-commerce platform Pinduoduo died weeks apart, one collapsing after a long shift and the other by suicide. Moreover, companies that enforce this culture violate the terms stated in the employment contract signed, where the working hours and leave entitlements were not abided by, which raises the question on whether employers have a fundamental obligation to protect employees' health and safety in the work environment. Companies minimally have the duty to not cause harm, especially to their employees. However, those that strictly enforce the 996 work culture violate this duty by harming their employees' health and well-being from overworking them. This is an example of motivated blindness, as companies remain ignorant to the harm that employees suffer, as it is in their best interest to do so.
So, we are examining the ethical dilemma between prioritizing individual well-being and supporting social economic stability. So, for balancing individual well-being, as many people choose a less stressful life, such as the tang mindset, they aim to avoid burnout and focus on mental health. This shift is rooted in personal gains, which results in better mental health, reduced stress, and overall life satisfaction. From a utilitarian perspective, this focuses on happiness as it maximizes the overall well-being on an individual level. So when people are happier, they are healthier, which enhances their quality of life. In short, prioritizing well-being can be seen as ethically positive from a personal standpoint. Next, for societal economic stability, this individual choice has a wider social impact. Economies depends on active workforces to sustain growth, drive innovations, and fund public services. This brings in a moral duty, often viewed as a collective responsibility, to support economic stability. So, if fewer people participate actively in the workforce, productivity may decline, GDP growth may slow, and there may be fewer resources for essential services that benefits everyone. From a principle-based ethics view, contributing to societal health is a shared responsibility. While individuals have the right to prioritize their well-being, there's also a moral obligation to consider the broader impact on society. This ethical dilemma matters because this effect extends beyond personal well-being. Let's look at 3 critical impacts of widespread disengagement on future generations, public services, and overall societal well-being. First, fewer engaged workers today could mean limited opportunities and increased inequality for future generations. As more people opt for less demanding roles, the potential for economic stagnation grows, which could reduce upward mobility and create deeper divides in opportunity. Secondly, public services relies on a healthy economy. Lower economic output means reduced funding for services like education, healthcare, and infrastructure, which are resources that everyone depends on. A shrinking workforce could impact the quality and accessibility of these services over time. In summary, while the tang movement allows individuals to focus on their well-being, the broader impact raises ethical questions about sustainability. The balance between individual and societal responsibilities become crucial as we consider the long-term effects of these lifestyle choices.
Moving on to the societal impact, all employees have the right to rest. However, the 996 work culture seems to ignore this right to rest and pushes employees to the brink of burnout. As such, through the lens of libertarianism, employees choosing to tang is simply them choosing to exercise their autonomy and right to rest. Furthermore, from the lens of virtue ethics, which emphasizes on the cultivation of good character and moral virtues, tang can be seen as an expression of personal virtues like integrity and authenticity, as choosing to tang can be seen as a rejection of societal norms. These societal norms conflict with an individual's values or well-being. This can be viewed as courageous, particularly in a culture that strongly emphasizes productivity and achievement. Lastly, from the utilitarianism framework, choosing to tang greatly benefits the employees as they achieve greater happiness, reduce stress, and better mental health. Research has shown that 80% of employees claim that their social relationships suffer because of work stress, and the work stress affects both their mental and physical health. As such, choosing to tang helps reduce this work stress and in turn, better mental and physical health for employees. On the other hand, using the perspective of principles-based ethics, the employee has a duty to work and fulfill the responsibilities of their roles and profession as they have signed a contract with their employer. As such, choosing to tang goes against principle-based ethics in the sense that employees are failing to do the right thing in principle when they choose to tang, failing to fulfill their contractual obligations to the best of their abilities and instead prioritizing personal contentment. Secondly, from the perspective of virtue-based ethics, tang can be seen as a form of selfishness or failure to fulfill one's responsibilities. This goes against virtue-based ethics as virtues such as responsibility and contributing to society are emphasized. Lastly, there's a stigmatization against those who choose to tang, especially by the older generations, as they were brought up in the culture of hard work and often equate self-worth with productivity. As a result of this stigmatization, not only by the older generations, those who choose to tang could face increased societal pressure and alienation, which can cause stress. This can diminish the health benefits previously mentioned when employees choose to tang. In summary, while choosing to tang might bring about individual health benefits, society's views and actions can result in a diminished health benefits due to the added stress and alienation of such individuals.
Moving on to part 4, our group's opinion. We acknowledge that ethics are subjective and individuals hold diverse beliefs. We encountered various perspectives where some of us support tang while others support 996. Nothing that it has driven economic growth and fueled significant advancements in the technology industry. The choice between these two work cultures ultimately depends on personal objectives and values around work-life balance. From a libertarian perspective, each individual has the right to choose what aligns best with their goals, whether that is the intense dedication of 996 or the balanced, minimalist approach of Tangping. While some people thrive in high-pressure environments, others prioritize well-being and family time. This highlights the importance of flexible work culture to accommodate the diverse needs. Embracing flexibility allows individuals to pursue a work lifestyle that not only aligns their personal values, but also contributes positively to their productivity and satisfaction. Lastly, we move on to Part 5, recommendations on how China can tackle the issue of 996 versus Tangping. Currently, All China Federation of Trade Unions is an organization that safeguards the legitimate rights and interests of the workers. Companies are allowed to form their own trade unions with the approval of local trade union federals. This structure allows effective representation and ultimately protects the workers' well-being. However, this is all theoretical and is not always the case. Trade unions are discovered to have focused more on social welfare rather than representing workers' interests, handling out gifts on holidays and organizing social functions, but not doing much to help improve the conditions of the workers' workplace. To improve on this structure, the existing labor laws should be improved. While China's existing labor law has some provisions about the number of vacation days and the restriction of working hours, some amendments can be done by the government to explicitly forbid the 996 working schedule. Stricter penalties such as higher fines or even temporary closures for restructuring should be imposed for companies who do not apply with the rules. Local unions should also actively engage with the employees to understand their challenges and workplace concerns. Local union federals should also regularly audit companies to identify those that engage in 996 practices, examining their compliance with labor laws and regulations. This audit should involve external union representations to observe employee work and rest schedules, as well as interviewing them to assess their work-life balance. In summary, the government can intervene in the labor market by imposing stricter penalties, amending the laws, and requiring more regular audits to ensure that the workers are not overworked and treated fairly.
Cultivating a company culture that encourages work-life balance requires the company's leadership to set the tone. Leaders can model the behaviors that they expect from their employees, like maintaining reasonable working hours and actively promoting a healthy work-life balance. Furthermore, leaders can establish quiet hours whereby employees, regardless of seniority or position, are discouraged from contacting other employees. This will help to alleviate stress among employees, as employees are able to draw the line between work and personal life. To further reinforce the cultural shift, companies must ensure that their company policies further align with the set values. For example, companies can start the implementation of flexible work arrangements, such as hybrid or remote work arrangements. This can increase productivity while reinforcing the cultural shift towards work-life balance. As employees are given the autonomy to manage their work in the best way possible, it reduces stress and hence increases employees' engagement and productivity. Companies can also adopt objective performance evaluations, focusing on the quality of work instead of the numbers of hours worked. This maintains accountability while preventing employees from overworking. This can be seen when China's 996 work culture is compared to Denmark's work culture, whereby the Danish only have 37-hour work weeks, but yet they are one of the world's most productive countries. One of the main features about the Danish work culture is the encouragement of work-life balance, keeping employees satisfied with their jobs. As a result, employees are even more motivated and productive. Lastly, the negative effects of Tangping will also be mitigated, as Tangping is a reactionary pushback against the harsh 996 culture. When companies promote work-life balance, the appeal of Tangping is effectively reduced. As such, this will maximize benefits for both employees and employers. To sum it all up, the Tangping movement was a result of the grueling 996 work culture. Both work cultures raised several valid ethical issues. After today's discussion, where we highlighted the violation of human rights and their health and well-being, economic impact, and societal issues, one must consider the perspectives of all parties involved before making a decision. Our final recommendations, after all considerations, are to curb the negative impacts of work cultures through government intervention and the influence of corporate culture. With that, thank you and have a good day.